both exciting and a little bit sad when Nebraska goes on bye. I'll tell you, it's happy when Nebraska's coming off of a streak of 2 wins because you get to protect that energy and that emotion that we all feel towards the team. And we don't have to worry about losing, especially since they're about to play a couple top 25 teams. But on the downside, we don't have as much to talk about. We don't have as much to look forward to. If you're a real college football fan, there's plenty to talk about and look forward to this weekend. You've got Ohio State, Oregon, which is obviously the headline matchup, but you have some other ones that are big too. USC, Penn State's one that I'll be really excited about. One that's totally off people's radar is West Virginia, Iowa State. I'm a sicko for college football, so I watch all of this nonsense. Obviously, I bet on a lot of these games too, so it makes it way more exciting for me. But regardless, I'm enjoying the bye week because I don't have to be as stressed out about what's to come. And Nebraska's going to get healthy. They're going to be at their best to go and play a ranked team. Once we get to Saturday, what is that, the 19th, I think? So anyway, guys, hi. Welcome to the stream. Chill stream tonight. Lots to talk about still. Always something going on over here with Corn Crazed. I wanted to know really quick. I was thinking about it. I was watching another live stream, totally non-sports related, and the guy was asking the chat some questions. I was like, I should interact with my chat more. I should get to know the people in my live because although a lot of people message me and reach out to me, so I do have a lot of individual conversations with people who are subscribed to the channel. I don't ask you guys that many questions during the stream. So first things first, what I want to know, where are you guys watching from? It's the number one question. I've got a few questions for you tonight, but we're going to start there. I actually got a DM that I didn't get back to because during the week, here's kind of my flow. Mondays, I drop a video. The time it takes to do a video is, let's call it 6 to 7 hours, okay? I wake up, eat breakfast, usually take a shower first, and then I get into the writing portion when research and writing go together. That'll take me until 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. From, let's say, 2 until 3, I'm recording because while I record, I'm sitting there trying to make sure that everything is delivered the right way. And sometimes I'll slur my words or it won't come out the right way. So I got to re-record certain segments. Okay. So let's say it takes between 30 minutes and an hour to do a 13-minute video. After that, I have to edit it. Editing can take anywhere from an hour to an hour and 40 minutes, depending on how many graphics I need and how many cuts there are because I screwed up along the way and had to go and re-record certain parts where I doubled back. So Monday, Wednesday, identical schedule in terms of putting out videos. Then Thursday, Friday, Saturday are just live streams. I've got to do about an hour and a half prep work for each of those, obviously setting up and making sure all my equipment's right, and then making sure I have my talking points ready to go so that I can keep you guys entertained the entire way through. Otherwise, it would just be a boring show, as you know. All of that said, the reason I'm even giving you this context is because I get a lot of messages, emails, Facebook messages, Twitter, Instagram, they come everywhere. And I welcome them and I love them. It's just I can't always respond to them because if I get caught up responding to all my texts and messages, I can't get any work done because I have a personal life too. I'm trying to go to the gym and I can't even go to the gym as often as I want to because I get caught up with content, right? So I got this DM, and because I didn't have time to respond to it during the week, I'm going to respond to it now. So last Friday, I think it was last Friday, I showed my playbook, the 1997 defensive playbook that my dad got me for Christmas, I think back in, we'll call it 2012, right? It's been like one of my prized possessions in terms of Nebraska memorabilia that I own. So Judd messaged me and says, was watching your Friday night live stream this morning at the gym when you mentioned the Brian Walters playbook you had. I worked with his wife and knew him from my gym. He's a big dude. I sent him a live stream with the portion you mentioned. So then it was here. Oh my goodness, we're laughing out loud. We've been wondering where that went. Brian's very glad that he was enjoying it so much. Probably was in a box of books. So I thought that was funny. Thank you for sharing that story. I think what happens with a lot of people who have a bunch of memorabilia and stuff from college, jerseys, footballs, just anything that they've collected, they can't keep it all. You think about if you're a guy who's a player and you've got 4 jerseys and you've got your playbooks and you've got all the equipment they gave you, and let's say you went to a bowl game and you have a ring, you just have a lot of stuff, and sometimes you don't have anywhere to display it or put it, so you can sell it, right? Or you can give it away to somebody who might enjoy it more. So that's probably what happened in the case of the playbook, and I'm just glad I'm the one who got to keep it. Chat is from Nashville, Kansas City. I was actually going to a Chiefs game one year with my dad. It was the year Nebraska played OU. So it was a Thursday night Chiefs game. We went to Chiefs Chargers. Next day, got up and drove to Lincoln. Friday night stayed in Lincoln. Saturday went to the Oklahoma-Nebraska game, obviously, because my dad lives in Oklahoma. So it was just a straight shot drive. It was like 3.5 hours to KC, then another 3 hours to Lincoln. Anyway, we're going into the stadium, and it's packed. It's a Thursday night game for the Chiefs. And I'm in my dad's truck, window tint, right? And I noticed a kid in a car looking at me. And after the game, I checked my DMs, and he said, "Hey, were you in a truck outside of the Chiefs Stadium today, like pulling into park?" I was like, that is crazy. The Corn Craze subscriber. This is back when I probably only had 12,000 subs. Didn't even have as many as we do now. He recognized me in the car at a Chiefs game. I thought that was pretty insane. I say it to say there are a lot of Nebraska fans in Kansas City, so no surprise to see someone from there. St. Louis, North Carolina, Hastings, Nebraska. My grandpa went to Hastings College. I was in the Northwest end zone at the Rutgers game. You know, I've noticed a lot of our subscribers do go to the games because I get a lot of pictures from the games. What's this one say from No One Important? I don't want to say that we'll beat Indiana because then I'll jinx it. But honestly, their strength of schedule isn't great. Listen, I'm going to get into Indiana next week. But Nebraska has a massive opportunity to catch those guys off guard since Indiana is, I think I saw 7 starters who came from James Madison, have now played a bunch of, I mean, most are bad football teams. The 2 that you could say are decent are, I don't even know if you call Charlotte decent. You can call Maryland pretty decent. But now they have this confidence, and I believe it's a little bit of a false confidence. A top 20 team in the country, they haven't played anybody. They're 6-0. They're the 6-0 that Nebraska not would have been this year because I think Illinois is actually a pretty good team. But the 6-0 Nebraska for maybe 2016 where even Oregon was good back then. They've played nobody. So I totally understand your position on this, No One Important. It makes sense that you'd think, yeah, Nebraska's going to have a really good opportunity to come and surprise those guys and play a totally different level of football than any of them are used to. But we'll see. Who knows? Manhattan, Kansas. Matthew Calloway says, what's your editing software of choice? You know, I stream with OBS. OBS is by far the best one. A lot of people like to use StreamYard. I don't even know what the other ones are, but a lot of people use StreamYard. OBS is by far the best streaming software. It's not even close. It's a younger deal. It's newer. StreamYard's been around a lot longer, but OBS just has a lot more functionality. In terms of editing software, I learned how to edit on Final Cut Pro. My first ever edits that I learned how to do were through my 2 videographers who I managed. They taught me how to do some basic editing on there. And I edited 2 vlogs of games I went to. I went to a Nebraska-Wisconsin game in 2017. I went to the Nebraska at Oregon game in Eugene in 2017 as well. Made 2 vlogs. I think I told you guys that story, actually. I lost the footage because my computer got water damage, and it totally ruined the videos. Like, nightmare. Point being, that was my intro to YouTube. I learned how to do stuff on Final Cut. It was good. And then when I got serious and all my friends who are big editors, they all do big stuff like big commercials, movies. They were like, hey, we got to get you on Premiere because if you're going to do YouTube, you got to be able to use all these other special functions and all these extra templates and things we can send you over there, plugins to make your videos better. So I've learned on Premiere. It's my software of choice, and it's pretty easy to use. So if you're going to edit on anything, I would suggest learning on Premiere, skip iMovie, skip Final Cut, and just go to the big boy, depending on what you're editing, obviously. Never Mind Me says, Omaha, and I hate it here. Wish I could move to a small town. Omaha's about as small as it gets for me. I don't know if I could live in a town smaller than Omaha. But I don't know. Where would you move to, Never Mind Me? I mean, you got a lot of options. You can go about 30 minutes outside of Omaha, and you get pretty small real quick. Tallahassee, Florida. Did Tallahassee get a lot of rain? I'm guessing they did. Ethan says, Connor, what do you think that Tony White will do with Hartzog, Hill, Buford, Singleton, and Wright? I'm totally of the belief that they're going to rotate. I don't think that you'll have a defined starter that is going to sit on the bench while the other guys all play more snaps. I think that Nebraska's going to look at that, or Tony White's going to look at it and say, look, we have these guys who can go in and keep our other dudes fresh and healthy, so why not give them an even rotation? You know, Malcolm Hartzog gets a lot of heat. People bash him. Even people tried to come after Buford last week, which I thought was pretty absurd. Anyway, Hartzog's been a solid player. He's been a good tackler. He's made plays on the ball. Every player is going to have downside, and they're going to have upside to balance that out. I just don't think that any of Nebraska's DBs are poor players and deserve to be benched. I think they can all play a role, and they can all help each other to be better, because if you have fresh legs and you're not getting beat up every time when you're going out there and trying to tackle these big Big Ten backs and receivers, you're going to be in a better position to succeed throughout the game. So I think that they rotate all of them equally once everyone's back to healthy. The other Hill we're not even mentioning is Bly Hill. He's got 4 games left that he can play if he does want a red shirt, which I'm sure they would at this point. Why wouldn't they? He hasn't played a single game yet this season, and there's only 6 games left. 2 of them Nebraska will be favorites in. So yeah, it'll be an interesting way, or an interesting end to see the way he uses them. So we'll have to see. Kevin says he's from Vertiger, Nebraska. I've never even heard of it in my life, Kevin. Interesting. Wahoo, Nebraska, I've definitely heard of. Assaulted Pretzels from Orlando. Orlando, a place I am very familiar with. Been there about 40 times. My friends live in Windermere. Wayne, Nebraska. Goes to Wayne State. Tony says that he went to the Colorado game and the Illinois game so far. You know, how many of you went to every game? That's another question for the chat. Who's gone to every single Nebraska game so far this season? I applaud that, because there have been some moments that I wouldn't have wanted to go to in person. Like, I wouldn't have cared to go to Northern Iowa, to be honest with you. A lot of hype and excitement, but I would have just rather enjoyed watching that one at home, knowing that that was probably going to be a blowout. It's a lot of effort to go to the game, you know? Thank you for being a member. He says it's a long way away. But how do you see the Iowa game going? I see it going exactly how Rutgers went. I see Iowa going the exact same way it's gone every year. You know, going to be slow, sluggish, kind of a weak offensive output on both sides because the defenses are both going to be impressive. And, you know, I'm pretty confident that Nebraska can win that game. If I was going to put a prediction in now, or I was going to go bet it, I would bet on Nebraska. But Iowa's a complicated team. They're extremely simple, but they do the simple things the right way. And because of that, it makes it so hard to find ways to beat them. That's why I use the word complicated. But I'm optimistic, and I think Nebraska, with a powerful offense and a defense that can match, can absolutely go out there and win, just like they did in 2022. Nebraska's defense came through, was solid enough, finished the game with a big game-sealing interception by Chris Kolarevic, and then obviously throughout the game, they were able to hit some deep shots. You had the Trey Palmer bomb, you had a Marcus Washington catch for a TD. I think Nebraska put up like 27 points that day. I don't even remember how else those yards came, but what I do remember is they got it done on offense, and that's something that Nebraska couldn't do the year before this year, 2023, which is why they ended up losing that game 13-10. So optimistic, excited, and I think that's Nebraska's 8th, maybe even 9th win. Bad Bar, thank you for being a member. Thank you for the $20 super chat. I appreciate the support. He said, I'm in a semi on Donner's Pass, Gold Run exit to be exact, in California. Okay. I'm going to look this up right now for you, Bad Bar, because I've heard of it. Let's see how far it is, where it is. Donner's Pass. So you're going out towards Nevada, right? Nice. I know exactly where you're. So it's like going from Sacramento out towards Reno is what it looks like. Sounds like a trek. I've never been to Reno. I got friends who are from there, but I'm sure that's a good weather area place to be right now. Where do you drive, Bad Bar? How far do you drive? All around the country, or you stay in regional areas? You got like a corner of the country you stick to. Matthew says he likes using Vinci Resolve. That's his editing software of choice. I've never used Vinci. He says he wants to get dedicated software to speed things up. What do you edit, Matthew? Huddle says, do you make... thank you for being a member, Huddle. He says, do you make your money from your channel, or do you have a normal job as well? So this is the second year where 100% of my income is coming from the channel from August until January 1st. Actually, that might extend. So I have cut everything off, and 100% of my income is coming from the channel until at least January 31st. Starting February 1st, things will take a turn, because obviously I can't make enough money on the channel to support my lifestyle. So right now it's all about the channel. But from February to August, I need to have something else going on. So I'm an independent consultant. I'll reach out to a bunch of my friends, and usually things come along. I get emails or I get messages, and people need help with little projects. And then it leads to 3 or 4 months of income for me. And then I jump on to the next one, or someone has like a little job fill opportunity where they need a consultant to come in, and they'll hire me for periods of time. So I have different opportunities that come in that help me to make money so I can do this channel in the off season, or during the season. So the money comes in during the off season to support me. Money from the season makes me the money to offset anything I didn't make during the off season. So yeah, it's been good. I'm really blessed to have built this channel up to be able to take on sponsors, number one, and to have a really supportive audience, because to be successful as a creator, you have to have an audience who's willing to obviously subscribe, like, comment, which boosts your engagement, to share your channel so that you can get more subscribers. That's number one. Number two is, as a streamer and a YouTuber, you've got to have fan support. So a lot of people have Patreon. A lot of people use the YouTube memberships like I do. Obviously, I have super chats, and a lot of people want to support via super chat. So that's been game changer for me. But yeah, those are kind of the main things. If you have a supportive community, you can make it as a creator. And you know, when I had 10,000 subscribers, I was making money as if I had 40,000. So I've been really good at creating a business out of this, and I kind of knew the steps to take early on. And when you're covering a team like Nebraska with so much fan support, and you can grow and get the level of engagement that we do on this channel, it really helps. If you're just a guy with 10,000 subscribers and you talk about, it could be anything, but take a broad niche, right? Like if you're talking about the NFL, or you're talking about college football, or not even sports related, you're just talking about cars. If you're too broad, it's hard to grow because there aren't enough diehard followers who will follow you, since there are 500 other people they can go and subscribe to, right? So because there were less people making Nebraska content, it made it easier for me to turn this into a business. All of that being said, there's downside to it as well, because I'm in a niche where I am limited and there will be a cap, right? Like I might be able to hit 25,000 subscribers this year. I think that's still a reach, but I might be able to. And let's say I did, can I get to 50? And I mean, Husker Online has been around for, I don't know how many years. Let's call it 15 years or 10 plus years. They have a massive brand and they only have 45,000 subscribers on YouTube, you know? They'll hit 50. I'm sure they're growing, but it just kind of shows you where the ceiling is, you know? All things I think about. I look at all of this as a business, right? Because I do want to do this, and put in as much time as I can to make sure the quality and the content you guys are consuming is, you know, top tier. I don't put out garbage content. I don't put out clickbait. I don't put anything out that's just headlines so you click my video. That's also one thing that's been a struggle. If you want to go and start a Nebraska channel today, or a college football channel, or whatever, any expert and anyone with a brain would tell you, go and put out clickbait headlines, go and put out things that people are going to go and tap into, sensationalize things, make it really exciting and flashy. There doesn't have to be truth to it. It can all be nonsense. You can just be crazy and extreme, but people will watch it and you'll make more money. And people have told me to do that a ton, and I just refuse to do it. It's out of respect for my audience. I'm not going to go and give you guys garbage clickbait content. You'll see that type of stuff on Twitter and on TikTok. It's just not my brand. So I can have a whole discussion about this. I'm very, very passionate about YouTube and the business behind my channel. I really enjoy it. And, you know, I took a big risk back in, I guess it was 2021, when I left a really good situation where I had everything in front of me in the entertainment industry, and I could have kept taking jobs and building my way through that. But I said, no, I want to do this on my own, and I want to have my own brand, and I want to see how far I can take myself as a YouTube personality, and not be tied to somebody else who has control over what I do or where I go. You know, I don't want to have my efforts making someone else rich. I want to have my own opportunity. So anyway, we got way out of there, way out of left field. I love this because I can go through chat since there's just not too many people and it's not flying too fast. That's very possible, or that's very positive. Huddle says, is Hill confirmed for the next game? You know, the Hill issue, no one's going to know. It's like kind of a feeling situation, right? It's a foot injury that no one understands fully what the extent is. So we'll see game day. It's game day decisions for the next however long, you know? Tallahassee didn't get hit much by the hurricane. I saw some live feeds of Tampa, but I heard that the hurricane didn't hit as hard as it was going to. So that was good, I guess. People didn't get as much damage as they thought they were going to. Obviously, it was still horrible, but it's so interesting. I live in a place where the natural disasters are earthquakes and fires. We've had to evacuate my house. I used to live like in the hills in Orange County. So up against those back hills, it was all super dry, and you'd have fires all the time. So, I mean, I remember so many times in elementary school, middle school, high school, where my mom would have to pick me up from school because the fire and smoke was so crazy. We'd have to drive from where we were all the way out to like the beach, to where the smoke couldn't mess with your lungs, you know? But yeah, I don't know what it would be like to live in a hurricane place. Like, do you just leave your house? I don't really understand the schematics of it. Adam, he says, I've got tickets 50-yard line, front row to the Wisconsin game. Are those good seats, or will I not be able to see? All right, Adam. So here's the deal. I appreciate and I enjoy atmospheres, number one, over anything when I go to a football game. Now, that means that I enjoy being in the middle of the stadium, in the bottom part of the bowl, because you can see everything above you. You can feel, the sound is coming down to you. It's just an incredible experience. So I prefer lower bowl 50-yard lines. That's amazing. The issue is at Nebraska, if you're in the front row, you have, I think, kind of the players' heads pretty low in front of you, or pretty high in front of you, sorry. So it's hard to see everything going on the field. So I like to sit at Memorial Stadium at least 12 rows back. So my sweet spot in Memorial Stadium is like row 12, which is really row like 16 or 17. So you're 17 rows up, because I think 12 has A, B, C, and D in front of it, something like that. And then you can see everything perfectly. So I'm sure you're going to have a great time regardless, and it'll be awesome no matter what. You're going to be able to see. It just won't be the same viewing experience as if you sat a little bit further back, right? But different vibes, because you won't have that same front row energy. You get to see all the people walking across in the pathway. I mean, there's a lot to be said for sitting in the very front row. So I would, keep the tickets, enjoy it, and next time you'll know if you like that or if you want to sit a little bit further back. Going back to the DB talk, Husker JPEG says, NU DBs are good. I don't like Tony White's scheme that plays them far off the receivers. Too soft. I think he needs to blitz more. It was interesting that he hasn't blitzed that often. The blitz rate was pretty low in terms of all the Big Ten teams relative to what they're doing. I don't know. It's working so far. The defense is playing pretty good. I still think they're more of a bend, don't break defense, which means they'll give up whatever's underneath, and they don't want to get beat over the top, because as we've seen, Nebraska has been prone to getting beat over the top, and if you can protect against that, it's safer. I'd rather Nebraska give up a bunch of BS yards, let a team get up to the 5-yard line, and then let the D-line do their thing and have those goal line stands. I think Rutgers had like 6 or 7 chances to punch it into the end zone when they were in the red zone last week after the blocked punt. It was obviously Borkature who took down the guy who blocked the punt and recovered it. And then they were on like the 3-yard line or something. And then the front 7 just dominated from there on out and had 6 or 7 stops. So don't give up anything over the top. We saw Tommy Hill get beat against Illinois, which was painful to watch. We saw Marquise Buford slip. That, it's tough. He slipped and then almost gave up a touchdown last week against Rutgers. So yeah, I'd rather have them play back and just give up the BS yards, let the defensive line do their thing at the end. That's my take. That's why I would agree with Tony White's plan so far. Got a couple people in here who've been to every game, except Miguelito says he had to miss the UNI game. He was on call. Well, fortunately, that was the worst game of all of them, so you got to go to all the more exciting ones. Dylan says he's from Humphrey, Nebraska, another place I have never heard of. He says he's been to Colorado and northern Iowa so far. Joey says he goes to all the games. Here's a question for you guys. Do you guys watch my live stream if you go to the game? Because my live stream is pretty much immediate after the game. So how do you watch the live stream if you're at the game and then leave the stadium? Because I'm guessing there's a lot going on. I mean, I go to the games and it would be a lot for me to tap into someone else's live stream after I'm trying to walk outside. Rod says, set up the tailgate at 6 a.m. for every home game. You're all invited. Listen, you guys, Rod has a great tailgate. I went. He had a lot of people there. I think there were probably 10 of his friends there when I pulled up. I went with John Johnston, and I went with my friend Tyler. And they had food there for us. We watched the Michigan-Texas game. It was great. And it was walking distance from the stadium. I don't know how long it took to walk to the stadium from Rod's tailgate. I would guess maybe 10 minutes. It was really easy. And it was like, must have been, I don't know, noon. It wasn't hot. It was a really nice day. It was during the Colorado day, so the weather wasn't over 80 that day. It was nice. Anyway, if Rod's inviting you to his tailgate, you guys might have to pull up. Let's see. Douglas, who do you know in Reno? I don't know anybody in Reno. My buddy used to live in Reno for 3 years. Chris says he's from Louisville, Kentucky. Been a subscriber since I had less than 10,000 subscribers. I think the Huskers go 9-3. I have a gut feeling they beat Ohio State. I am going to be so excited, and I will lose it on the stream if they beat Ohio State, right? I want it more than anything in the world. I just haven't seen Nebraska show the signs that I need them to show for me to believe that they can win that game. to beat teams like Ohio State, you have to be good in all three phases. Nebraska can be good in two phases. They can't be good in all three. I haven't seen that level of consistency yet. If Nebraska does have a miraculously good day on special teams, I'm afraid that they'll struggle on defense or offense. If vice versa, right? Whichever one unit slips up for Nebraska against Ohio State, that will be the downfall. Even if Ohio State doesn't play their perfect game, they're so talented and they're going to be at home. I just think that energy will be overwhelming and really tough for a lot of freshman players and young players to go in and win in an environment like that. I do think there's a world where Nebraska can keep it within 10 or even 7 going into the fourth quarter, but closing it out and winning close games against teams of that caliber is really freaking hard to do. I will tell you this, if you are actually believing Nebraska has a chance to beat Ohio State, you have to have Ohio State win against Oregon this week. If Nebraska loses to Oregon this week, they will not lose to Ohio State off of a bye week, or they will not lose to Nebraska off of a bye week at home in 2 weeks. It just won't happen. So Nebraska needs Oregon to lose or get smoked. I mean, lose close or get smoked. If they got smoked, it would be even better. You want this false sense of superiority in the Ohio State locker room. You want them to celebrate a win. You want them to have kind of a come down moment against Nebraska. You want them to put all of it together at Oregon so that they play a little bit worse of a game the next time when they see Nebraska. So I think Oregon's going to win this week. I'll go through my picks in a minute, but I'm rooting for Ohio State because I really, really want Nebraska to have a chance to actually go into Columbus and pull off an upset. We'll have to see. Matthew says he edits game broadcasts. His goal is to get them down to 60 to 80 minutes. What kind of games do you edit? Football? Like, you got to let me know what it is. RJ, thank you for being a member. He says, what are some realistic expectations or improvements you have for the team coming out of the bye next week? I think play calling is going to favor the run a bit. I think they're going to try to figure out ways to establish more of a run game, and they're not going to put as much pressure on Dylan. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't know if that means personnel changes. I don't know if we're going to see more Emmett Johnson, more Ramir Johnson. I don't know if there's going to be more packages or situations where they have Ja'Cory Barney taking sweeps. But I do think they're going to try to dial in on the run game. Obviously, I think the same goes for the pass. I just think there's going to be more emphasis on the run because Nebraska has to get better at running the ball. Right now, they're not very good at it. And although last year they were an elite run team, I mean, let's just look right now. I can pull up the rankings for us. So running, this is national rankings, by the way. Rushing offense. Okay. So Nebraska last year was like top 12, right? I think they finished number 12, somewhere in there. They're not even in the top 50 right now. Okay, where are they? They're number 90. Nebraska has the 90th rushing offense in the country. And the thing is, if their passing offense is like top 25, then I can understand, but I don't think it is. They're averaging 137 yards a game. They have 11 rushing touchdowns. They average less than 4 yards per rush, which is on par with Mississippi State, who's one of the worst teams in the entire country. That is gross. Purdue's rushing better than Nebraska is. Yeah, that's painful. Okay, let's go over to passing to see if the passing offsets it. I haven't looked at any of these, by the way. I just pulled this up. I was going to look at them with you. Passing offense. Yeah, that's unacceptable. Nebraska's not in the top 50 for passing offense, and they're number 90 for rushing offense. Like, if you're going to have the 90th rushing offense, you've got to offset it with pass. So they're 55 in pass, 245 yards a game. Here it is right here. They have 9 passing touchdowns, almost 1,500 yards. I mean, to be fair, Dylan's on pace for a 3,000-yard season, right? Almost 3,000, 2,900. But yeah, they've got to be better at running the ball. So that's my thought. We'll see what happens. It's hard to predict some of this stuff, you know? Coaches see different things than we do. Daniel says, who else is going to the USC game? I'll be there. I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people are going because I get messages like crazy about what the USC game plan is, and people are trying to figure out what they're going to do for tickets. I've told some people they've got to go and scalp tickets or at least wait until the very last minute. I know some people who've bought tickets already for the SC game, which makes no sense. USC keeps losing. Nebraska has chances to lose. Those ticket prices are going to continue to drop. I remember there was a point where the tickets, I think I told you guys on the stream, my dad got offered like $5K for 6 tickets. They're on like the 40, like really good seats. But immediately, Nebraska and Indiana, or Nebraska lost to Illinois, USC lost to Michigan, and those tickets came crashing down. So wait until the last minute, and you'll get really good deals on those seats, because USC could lose again this week. I'm taking them to win, but they could lose this week. Plan for the game that day, I don't know. I'm just kind of going with the flow. I'm trying to meet up with as many people as I can. I'll be walking around the stadium. The cool thing about USC is you got tons of people just walking around selling beer and food and everything. So you can kind of just hang out and walk around. Like, I don't need a tailgate. I can just walk around and sightsee. The thing about LA is there's a lot to look at. I'll tell you that, on all levels. So if you go out to the SC game and you're just walking around, you're guaranteed going to have a good time. People are very cool too. You know, USC's an interesting crowd. Like, I was listening to, who was I listening to? I don't remember what it was. I was listening to some podcast or show, and they were talking about how, it was I think it was Husker Online. It was like Sipple and Sean Callahan. And they mentioned that the Ohio State Stadium is a blue-collar crowd. I think they said that. And at USC, it's a very white-collar crowd. You have a mix, though. Like, you have a big Hispanic population in Southern California. So you've got, like, a Hispanic crowd. And that's like, you know, there's vibes culturally with Southern California Hispanics, like the beer vibe, the party vibe, like it's fun. And then you have kind of the white collar bougie USC crowd, like the elitists, and they're all there too, wearing their sweaters and shit. Guys who come up with their huge RVs that are like $500,000 to $1 million. So SC is a very, very unique football experience that's unlike any other school that I visited in the country, because it has the Southern California vibe. So yeah, it's fun to just walk around, sightsee, and feel out the vibes. I will say that. So if you're coming for that game, make sure you're walking around and checking things out. Bad Bar says, I look forward to your content every week, almost like watching the weather every day. You know, there are a few people who've told me this. First off, Bad Bar, I appreciate it a ton, because you watching makes me driven to make more of it, obviously. But the fact that you guys want it, need it, and feel like this is a piece of your weekly routine, kind of like how I feel with some of the podcasts I listen to. It makes me want to make good content for you, because it's my job. You know, I got to make sure that I'm here providing you entertainment. You guys have given me the opportunity to be the circus clown in your life to keep you entertained. Rod, thank you for being a member. Thank you for the 2079. He says, you are a class act, sir. I have my moments. I'm also, you know, we come at it from both ways, but thank you, Rod. I appreciate you a ton. Told you guys, Rod's been very cool to us for a long time. Very cool to the channel and very supportive, helping us get to where we are. thank you for being a member. He says, outside of Dylan Raiola, who on the team do you think truly has round 1 to 2 potential in the draft? Well, okay, let's pull up the depth chart. As much as I know about Nebraska, like, I've memorized a lot of these guys, and if you gave me a second, I could probably recite the entire 2 deep, no problem. If I'm talking about a lot of stuff, it's hard for me to remember every single player and remember what position they play. It's like you're put on the spot, and it's a tough thing to do. So I'm going to pull up the depth chart, and this will make it easier for me. So I'm going to give you round grades by player. I think Jamal Banks is like a 7th rounder. I think he can sneak in and get drafted. I think Isaiah Nayor is likely a 5th rounder, 6th rounder. So a little bit higher than Jamal, still has work to do. I think Ja'Cory Barney could potentially develop into like a 5th rounder. He's pretty small, and he's got to put on weight. We don't know where he'll end up position-wise and where he'll be elite. Right now, he's just kind of a utility dude, but maybe he turns into like a 4th, 5th rounder. I would probably lean higher, like a 4th. Carter Nelson, I think you have high ceiling for him. He's a big body. He could develop into a 2nd round type of player, I think. I mean, he could develop into a 1st round, but if I had to make a projection right now, I'd say he's like a 2nd round, 3rd round type of guy, because it's so early on. But he's got the body to turn into that. Micah Mazuka, I think if he didn't have the issues that he has, he could probably be like a 5th rounder. Bryce Benhart, you know, 6th rounder, maybe 5th rounder, who knows? Raiola, I think he's going to be the #1 pick in a couple of years. I think Raiola is just getting started. I don't know if any of the running backs could play in the NFL. Maybe they could play in the NFL. I just don't think any of them would get drafted. Jamari Butler, maybe like a 6th rounder, 7th rounder. I'm not sure how his prospects look. Cam Lenhart could develop into like a 5th, 6th rounder. You never know. He's had a strong start to his career. Nash and Ty, I believe both will go in like Ty, maybe as high as the third round. I don't know if Ty could get up to the second. That's a, you know, dominant tier when you're a second round player because there are so many good defensive linemen. But right now, I would say he's probably like a third rounder, borderline second, trying to fight his way in there. Nash, I think, is probably like a fourth, fifth rounder type of player. James Williams, I don't know where he'll fit. Still early on in his career, but you know the sky's the limit. He's kind of like Cam Lenhart. Prince Will Umanmielen, same thing. He's kind of like a Cam Lenhart. Prince Will's brother is going to be a first or second rounder this year, so that's exciting. MJ Sherman, I think, is more of a free agent player, but he is having a really strong ending to this season, so you never know what could happen. He's a good guy too, so I think he's a guy who will impress scouts. No matter what, I think he'll get signed to a team. I just don't know that he'll get drafted. John Bullock, he's working his way to being an NFL football player. I don't believe that at the end of last season, he would have made an NFL team. Like if he would have been a free agent, I think he would have kind of just fallen off. But the way John Bullock's playing, I mean, he could sneak his way. If he stays consistent and plays the way he has been, he could sneak his way into being a seventh rounder, maybe. More likely he's a free agent and he makes a team. That's how I'd project him right now. He'd be a special teams hero in the NFL, I think. A lot of it has to do with speed and size. I just don't know what his situation is with either of those two deals. Vincent Shavers, obviously, they expect to develop into a stud, but way too early to tell. Tommy Hill, I think Tommy Hill will be a late second rounder at this rate. He's not playing. He's been injured. Maybe mid second rounder. A lot of it has to do with how he's testing, right? I'm not sure. Marquise Buford, don't know about him either. I mean, free agent, obviously, no matter what, but does he develop into someone who could get drafted? He might need another year at Nebraska. And yeah, it's hard to tell. Sierra Wright, kind of in the same boat as Marquise Buford, in my opinion. However, Sierra Wright's, kind of a decorated player. I was actually reading this before I hopped on the stream. So Sierra, he played high school football. He played corner and receiver at Loyola, which Loyola is like, I don't know, maybe a 20-minute walk from USC. If you were driving through downtown LA where the USC campus is, and then you take a couple streets over and you're going through the hood, and then you pull up to Loyola, you would just think that Loyola is like an extension to USC. It's crazy how close it is. But anyway, so in 2021, he played in 2 games. Didn't really do anything. 2022, redshirt freshman. 28 tackles, an interception, 2 pass breakups, and he played in 14 games total. This is the season where Lincoln Riley came in. They went to the Cotton Bowl against Tulane and lost. I think that was the year that Caleb won the Heisman, right? 22? I think it was. So he had a good start to his season as a redshirt freshman. Then I think they were trying to figure out their defense. I don't know that people were too high on him. Like, I don't know what his prospects were and how he looked as a starting corner going forward, but it didn't matter. He kind of retired from USC and went and pursued acting. Now he comes back to Nebraska and looks exceptional. So again, he's a young player. He's only played 1 full season, so he's technically a sophomore. He has 2 more years of eligibility after this. We'll have to see how it pans out, but maybe another guy who, like Marquise Buford, could develop into a draftable player. I really like Marquise. Like, Marquise is a strong, like, you watch the Chasing Threes, strong leader. He's vocal. Dude's a physically gifted freak, obviously. And he's been a good player consistently in Nebraska for like 3 years, even though he's dealt with some injury issues. I really want Marquise to turn it up and be one of Nebraska's drafted DBs. Ike, thank you for being a member. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He says he's from Olympia, Washington. Colorado versus Kansas State. Part of me wants Colorado to win to help the Huskers strength the schedule, but the Husker fan in me wants CU to get smoked. Thoughts? I want Colorado to win. I want Illinois to win. I want every team that Nebraska's played to be dominant this year, and I want Nebraska's strength of schedule to go through the roof. The better that Nebraska's former teams are they've played will give the team more confidence that either they're a really good team because they dominated them or that they aren't as bad as they think they are because they lost to them. So I'm all about Nebraska's team right now, winning as many games as possible and finishing with the highest ranking as possible. And that means Colorado needs to win. USC needs to win. Ohio State, Indiana, Illinois, all these teams need to win as many games as possible. Go Iowa. I mean, people hate Iowa. Screw that. Iowa, I want you to be the number 4 team in the country so Nebraska can go into Iowa City and beat you, even though I think Iowa's terrible at football. Hate Iowa. But I want them to win. And same is said about Colorado. The other thing, outside of just being a Nebraska fan, I want Colorado to win just for the excitement. Like I want the nonsense. I want the drama on social media with people talking shit. I want all that. I think it's funny to see, and I think it's funny to see people react and get all emotional over Dion. I don't know why people are so triggered by him. You know, like I get it. He's not everybody's cup of tea. Dion is college football's Donald Trump. You know, I was thinking about that the other day. Like the way people hate Trump and he's like got people divided on a 50-50. Some love him, some hate him. Dion's the exact same way. And I think it's super interesting to watch. I was a Dion fan to start, right? I liked that he was doing things a different way and that he had a unique perspective coming into the big league, coming from being a high school coach and a what was he in? FCS, an FCS head coach. So I liked that it was unique. I also like that he brought in two exceptional players. Like before Shedeur ever played a snap in college football, I knew that guy was a Heisman caliber player, and he's proved it. So it's very cool to watch. Anyway, I like to be a fan and watch it. I'm indifferent on Dion now. Like I don't love him, I don't hate him. I'm just kind of like, whatever. But the fact that he has so many people riled up is interesting to me, and I like watching it. I'm telling you, college football is my reality show. It's my drama. Some people, like chicks, like watching Real Housewives or what's that one show called? Love is Blind. Like there's these shows on Netflix that are like reality shows. I'm not really into all that. I just like the reality show of football and sports in general. I like all the big personalities in media who have crazy takes. I like that even Will Compton's gotten it in. You know, Will Compton's pretty entertaining, and he's up there with the big boys now on social media, making crazy content, saying crazy stuff. So I just enjoy the spectacle, and more craziness added to the flame is good for me and my entertainment, you know? Tiger Shark says at UNL, they made student tickets first come, first serve. Why is that lame? That seems like a fair deal. If you want the tickets, you got to show up for them. I don't know any other way they would do it. Unless you had like price tiers, but I don't think that's fair for students. Students that don't have money like that. No one important says Nebraska's defense completely carried that game. Obviously, we're talking about Rutgers, I think, right? Yeah, defense was on fire last week. Went to Rutgers last week. Not the most exciting, but good one to see, a 1-win score. Wrinkly Beef says he lives downtown, so he gets home right after the game. That makes sense. That's how you're able to watch it. Some of you guys put the phone on while you're driving home. My girlfriend grew up with her dad always listening to Big Red Wrap Up, so she's already used to it. That's good. Your girlfriend doesn't interrupt you while I'm talking. Leo says, Connor, have you ever thought about moving to Nebraska? You know, Leo is a 12-year-old subscriber. Thank you for being a member, Leo. Leo's a 12-year-old subscriber. He sent me pictures with players he's taken, so he gets to meet the players. He's out there doing this thing. And he and I got to meet in person for the first time. Right when I saw him, I knew who he was. I gave him a hug and got a picture with him, so I was pumped to meet Leo in person. Leo's been subscribed to me since the beginning of Corn Craze. He's always been supportive. So I think Leo told me he was 9 years old when he started subscribing. So anyway, Leo, thanks for being a subscriber. You're the man. I haven't thought about moving to Nebraska. You know, Leo, I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house when I was, I guess, around your age. That's when it started. And they lived in a town called Chadron. There were 1,000 people, 1,500, whatever it was. It was super small. There were like 3 stoplights. And I mean, it was every summer, every winter that I would go there. And I had multiple friends. I'd go for 2-3 weeks at a time. And they were the best times of my childhood. I loved driving around with my grandpa. We'd take my BB gun and go out to these, middle and nowhere areas and shoot the BB gun. We'd talk about football. I'd go to the park across the street, play football with my cousin. I mean, my whole world was Chadron. I loved going, and it was my whole deal. But now that I'm older, Leo, I like to be around a lot of people who are trying to do things in business. And I found that I've got to go to cities with a lot more people. So where I live in California, there's 4 million people in my 1-hour radius. So just so many different people that I can network with and meet for business. I like being in cities that have a lot more population, a higher population. And Nebraska just has smaller towns. So for me, in the phase of my life where I'm at right now, I couldn't live in Nebraska, but I enjoy visiting. I love going back. My mom and I went to the Nebraska Nebraska-Wisconsin game a couple years ago. She grew up in Nebraska, so we got to go and explore Omaha, go to some different restaurants, some bars. That was a really good time. So right now in my life, Nebraska is just a place I visit, but yeah, I think it's a great place to live, and it's a great place to have a family because I loved my childhood and my family life there when I was growing up. Rod says that he usually just listens to the post game live and he rewatches it when he gets home. Yeah, Rod, I know you tap out sometimes. You pop in, pop your head in, you drop some money, and then you dip out. I know you always drop those super chats and you have to watch the replays, but I'm just glad you get in the chat and get to watch it at some point. That's why I like the replays on the live streams. The live streams being able to be replayed is freaking awesome. We've been going at this for an hour, and I haven't talked about anything that was on my list. I've just been answering comments. I'm gonna get back to the chat, but let me get through a couple things because yeah, I wanna at least talk about the stuff I want to talk about. I was looking at uniforms for this week. So this is the Western Kentucky uniform for tonight, bringing out the eyeball helmet. Pretty freaking awesome. Last night, I wanted to show this. This is Logan Smothers right here, number 7. Popping through with a 72-yard touchdown run. Shout out Logan Smothers. Jacksonville State ran it up on New Mexico State last night. Let's see. Wanted to do another uniform deal. Oh, okay, look at this. Texas Tech with some fire unis. They've got the Mahomes logo on it right here. And I guess they're going to wear these for a game. I mean, these are unbelievable. I'm trying to think of any team who's had like uniforms. And the chrome, I'm sure there are teams who've had gray and chrome combo. But with the red, this just pops. And just imagine being Pat Mahomes. Like, you went to Texas Tech, and now you've got your logo on your school's uniform. Is that not dominance? That's like Jordan level stuff right there. That's awesome to me. And then West Virginia. So I saw this video. Dude pops out in the stadium. West Virginia's playing Iowa State this week. They're a 3-point dog at home. That's the uniform. That smoked charcoal gray. Dude. Does that not go hard with the white stripe fade in the center? I mean, and I think Iowa State wore their blacks last weekend, so now West Virginia's wearing their blacks this weekend. It's just so perfect. And they do it for like the coal miners in West Virginia. It's the whole, I love college football. I love the pageant. Look at the stripes on the pants. Are you kidding me? I just love the pageantry. I love the vibes. Just look at that. The West Virginia mine, something. I couldn't read the rest of it. Whatever. You guys get the point. It's just awesome. I saw this on Twitter from Black Shirts. This says the true freshman with the highest grades via PFF this season. You got Dylan and Ja'Cory Barney, both in this top group. What is that? Top 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Top 9. So pretty impressive that I knew Dylan would be in there. Before the season, we knew he would no problem make his mark as a true freshman starter. But Ja'Cory Barney exploding the way he has. It's been a pleasant surprise. I saw this too that was funny. It says, women have to deal with pregnancy, periods, and menopause. What do men have to deal with? And then Husk Guys posted this. Pretty funny. 6 and 7, 9 and 4, 4 and 8, 4 and 8, 5 and 7, 3 and 5, 3 and 9, 1 and 2, 5 and 7. And when I saw this, the reason I wanted to pop it up is because it just makes me so much more appreciative of the position we're in now as Nebraska fans. We finally get winning football. We finally get to watch a serviceable product on the field that brings us enjoyment and happiness. And it's been so long since we've gotten that. I started my channel back in 2021, really? So that was the really 2020s when I started it. I wasn't putting out much content, but I had started. So it was right here. And they finished 3 and 5. And then that was obviously because of COVID. Then 3 and 9 season was 2021. I got a little bit deeper into it that year. I still wasn't fully committed. I wasn't making enough money from it, but I was making content. Then the season where I really cranked it up was 2022. I had a lot of hope. That was the year where Scott Frost got fired. And I thought this is the year where I'm going to jump all into corn craze. I'm going to do merch, the whole thing. So I sold merch this season for the first time. I think that's when I sold this merch that I'm wearing right now. I sold out of it. It was a great merch drop. Anyway, and then 5 and 7 last season, and now 5 and 1 to start. So it's so positive, and I'm so happy Nebraska's cranked it up and gives us something serviceable. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you is this. So I'm not going to play it. It's like a whole minute clip I want you to watch on your own. But it was between Mikey Daniel and Chancellor Brewington on 93.7. So I'm going to give you guys the rundown of what it is. You don't have to watch it yourself if you don't want to. But basically, Mikey talked about he's friends with Christian McCaffrey from the Panthers. So he talked about how McCaffrey went on a recruiting visit to Oregon. And when he walked in to the coach's off or the coach's film room or wherever it was, Scott Frost was there. And the entire time, Oregon was saying, we're going to let you play running back, while all of the other schools recruiting him said, we're only going to let you play receiver. So Frost looked at McCaffrey, I guess, when he walked by the film room and said, oh, he thinks he's going to play running back when he gets here, but we're moving him to receiver. Something like that. You guys can go watch it for the exact story, but it's something along those lines. And after that, McCaffrey said, okay, I'm all good. I'm going to Stanford. And so he went to Stanford because he didn't like Scott Frost. Then Luke McCaffrey ends up going to Nebraska. Christian obviously didn't like it. So as soon as Luke and Scott had any issues, Christian obviously influenced him heavily to leave Nebraska. And it ended up, I don't know if you'd say it's the right decision, because Luke was still going to get a lot of play and they would have moved him to the receiver where he would have had opportunity. But to be fair, Luke did get drafted and his career worked out. So not saying that Christian McCaffrey was wrong to believe what he did, but it just went the way it did. Really quick, I've got to shout out today's sponsor. It's Prize Picks. You guys have heard of this before. I've talked about it a few times. We have a great community on Discord. If you guys want to sign up for our Discord group, we talk about all kinds of Nebraska stuff in there, college football. I drop my Prize Picks plays in there. Also, my regular betting plays against the spread. But you can join our Corn Craze Discord group if you click the link in the description box below. And that's where I put all of my Prize Picks plays up. And it's where you can see everyone else in our Corn Craze community, what they think about this week's lineups. So if you want to sign up to play Prize Picks with us, it's a bye week. So you can jump on there. You make one $5 play. You get $50 instantly. There's no catch to it. You don't have to win the $5 play. You're just going to get $50 to play with. You use code CORN. It's the easiest code to remember. I was like, what's the easiest code I could use right here? I was like, CORN is just too perfect for Corn Crazed. Anyway, sign up on Prize Picks and you can play with us. I want to show you guys some of my plays. So here are the lineups I have so far. We've got one I really, really like. Jalen Milroe yards, Michael Hawkins yards, Avery Johnson yards. This is all for rushing. I'm going the more on all of them. I like taking the Green Devil on both Avery Johnson and Jalen Milroe because I'm taking the regular line for Michael Hawkins at 29.5. Now, as you guys know, those rush yards can get affected by sacks. I don't believe Colorado or South Carolina will have that many sacks on Milroe or Avery Johnson that it will offset these lines too much. I only need 40 yards, and both of these guys like to run the ball. Michael Hawkins. I was talking to my friend Jake today. He's the professional sports gambler guy. He does Prize Picks all the time. And he said his favorite Prize Picks line of the week is Michael Hawkins because he believes that Oklahoma, without any of their receivers, Deion Burke's obviously not back yet and a bunch of other guys injured, he believes Michael Hawkins, to win the game, will be forced to run the ball. Texas had 6 sacks against someone, and they had 1 sack against somebody else. And it was like, okay, they had 6 sacks against Mississippi State. They had 1 sack against Michigan. And he said, I'm pretty sure the OU offensive line is somewhere between those two. So if you believe that, we'd think that maybe Texas gets 3 sacks max on this guy. 3 sacks minus 15 yards. Will he run for 45? I think so. I'm taking more, 29.5. Just giving you guys a little breakdown in my logic behind this. Tonight's game, which starts in 20 minutes. I have one play that's exclusive to tonight's game. I'm taking George Kittle, more receiving yards at 50. Taking DK Metcalf, more than 39.5. That's a green devil emoji play. And then I'm taking Geno Smith rush yards. Obviously for NFL, sacks don't count. And Geno Smith, I think, is rushing for like 30 yards a game right now in the last few. Okay, yesterday, if you're in the Discord group, I posted this up. They've got these Halloween discounts. So Quinn Ewers' yards is actually at like 250. They gave us a discount, same payout, but a discount for 215.5 yards passing. I took the more on that with Malachi Fields, the receiver for Virginia, playing against Louisville. This is one of their better receivers, and I do think that Virginia is going to have to throw to beat Louisville. Virginia didn't throw that well last week. I think their quarterback went like under 200 yards. So, yeah, like this one here. Taking Jordan Mason, the running back from San Francisco, with Elick. Is that his name? How do you say his name? Elick Ayenmeyer? Io Manor. I make plays on this guy not every week, but I've made plays on him, say 7 or 8 weeks in the last 2 seasons. And I love taking his yards because he's a superior wide receiver on a team who doesn't have that many weapons and just isn't that very good. So only 24.5 yards for his more felt great. Then I've got Garrett Cole. He's playing tonight or today. Is it today? Wait, Thursday? Yeah, he's playing today. I need 4 strikeouts from him. This is discounted because it's a Halloween special with Caleb Johnson. And I have a couple more lineups in here that I've made. Got a Taco Tuesday with DK Metcalf. You guys can see these for yourself. This one already had the first leg hit with Aaron Nola, strikeouts. But I've got a lot of lineups so far. But I'm not done because this board's not even filled yet. Like if you go to college football, there are a ton of players in here, but there are a ton that aren't showing yet because typically on Friday, they release the rest of the games. So I'm waiting until Friday to make the rest of my lineups when I have more opportunity. But I will have all of these in the Discord, so you can go to Discord, find them all there. And yeah, I've got a lot of people in my messages who send me baseball plays, and I don't watch baseball at all. As much, okay, here's my extent of watching baseball. My friend Johnny, his dad is with the Dodgers. He's a coach or scout. He played in the NMLB for a long time, multiple World Series winner. But anyway, Johnny is a big baseball fan, so I talked to him about it a little bit. But he invites me to the Dodgers game last week, and I didn't go because Nebraska had a game on the same day as the Padres and Dodgers, and I was going to get to the Dodger game late, so I didn't end up going to that game. And then another friend took me to a Dodger game like probably a couple months ago. So my extent of baseball knowledge is through people who either take me to games or who played baseball themselves or, are connected to it. But me, I can't touch baseball plays usually because I know nothing about it. It's like me playing women's basketball. It just makes no sense. I stick to college football. I am influenced by people on our Discord and by some of my friends who give me NFL lineups. But outside of that, I stick to what I know, and that's college football. Also, this weekend, so here's my really quick schedule. I'm going to go through my predictions and picks for this week, and then we're going to get back to the chat. Not ignoring you guys. I'm just trying to get through the things I want to talk about. So this weekend, I am going to the Jets-Bills Monday Night Football game in New Jersey. So tomorrow morning, I got a flight. 7 a.m., I got to wake up, 7:30, go over to the airport. I'm going to land at 7:30 p.m. My buddy Shoebaum, he's like one of my best friends. He lives out in Jersey. He's going to take me over to his girlfriend's apartment. I'm staying there. And then in Edgewater, which is like a nice area in Jersey that overlooks Manhattan. So I've stayed there a bunch. It's nice. But I'm going to go there. Next morning, I think my dad and I have a tour of MetLife Stadium at 10 a.m. So get to bed, get up in the morning, meet my dad over at MetLife. He's already in New York with his wife. They're like on a honeymoon vacation or something. Anyway, so I meet my dad over there at MetLife. Do our tour for an hour or two, whatever that is. Then it's going to be around noon. I think that's when games start on the East Coast. So I got to get back to the apartment, and I got to watch some games. I know Shoebaum's going to want to hang out. He's got a lot going on. They've got a bunch of businesses out in Jersey, so we usually go around to their gas stations and the dress store and all the stuff they've got going. But I might have to take some time to watch the games on Saturday. Then that evening, I'm going to hang out with Shoe. Then Sunday, probably same thing, hang out with Shoe. Then Sunday evening, my dad and I are going to dinner with him. So it'll be my dad, my dad's wife, Kimberly, Shoebaum, and I. We're going into the city for dinner. And my dad's super cool. He likes to meet all my friends. My dad's 65, but he's got young energy. Like if you talk to him, you would never know he's 65. And he doesn't look like it either. So all my young friends who are in their 20s or 30s, they all get along with him. And he's no filter like us, so we can talk to him and be crazy, which is great. But anyway, we're going to dinner with him on Sunday night. So that's the first time my dad will meet Shoe, which is great. Anyway, then on Monday night, we're going to that game. And it was a charity thing that we bought for my friend Tony and Ashley. Tony is an NBA player, and he's got autism. His kids have autism. They have a foundation for autism. And for the foundation, they were auctioning these things off. So we bought this experience to go to the Jets game. So part of it is going on the field before the game and all this stuff. Anyway, so we're going to go on the field. Then we're going to go to the game that night. Then Tuesday, fly home. And Tuesday evening, start working on my Indiana preview. Wednesday, have the Indiana preview popped up. And then we're back to regularly scheduled programming. Then I'm going to be home for a couple weeks, and I'm bouncing out to Oklahoma to my dad's. And he and I are going with Brady, who's a former sponsor of Corn Craze. We're going to his tailgate for the Arkansas Ole Miss game. And then and I'm going to stay in Oklahoma that whole week. Then I'm going to the Ole Miss Georgia game in Mississippi the next weekend. So it'll be Ole Miss, Arkansas, then Ole Miss, Georgia. Then the next morning after Ole Miss, Georgia, we wake up and we're flying from Mississippi to Houston, land in Houston at 1 p.m. Houston plays Detroit that night, Sunday Night Football. So another Lions game I'm going to. So Lions, Detroit. Then the next morning, I guess will be Tuesday, fly back to LA. Then I got to get content going because USC Nebraska's that week. And then my dad's flying out for that. So I've got a very busy schedule coming up with traveling. And obviously we've got more Nebraska content to make. So that's my schedule for the rest of the year, just to get you guys caught up. I think those are the only games I have on the docket right now. And I'm sure I'll go to more, but that's what's locked in up until the USC game for November 16th. Okay, let's get to some picks, some predictions really quick. So Jake told me to take the over in this game tonight. It's already at 14 points. It's on pace. I didn't take it. Let's see. I'm not going to be watching any of these games tomorrow. Kind of big spreads. But I am going to take Arizona State plus 5.5 at home against Utah. My logic here with the Big 12 is that no team is good enough to separate themselves. They're all kind of equal. Like Colorado and Utah, Kansas State. Any team can win any given Saturday. And the same now goes for Arizona State, who's 4-1. I'm taking points in all of these games, especially at home at night in a Friday night spot. I took Texas Tech last weekend against Arizona. They were 6-point dogs, I think, on the road. And Texas Tech covered. As 6-point dogs, I think they won outright, actually. So Arizona State plus 5.5, no-brainer play. I'm doing that all season long. I'm not touching this South Carolina-Alabama play here. I would probably lean South Carolina. Iowa and Washington, I'm going to take Iowa. It's a buy low, sell high spot. Iowa off a loss, Washington off a big win. Rutgers, Wisconsin, I lean Rutgers. I'm not touching it. Let's see. Texas OU right now is a 14.5 line. I'm taking OU. You're giving me that many points in a rivalry game. I don't care how bad OU has looked. I don't care how elite Texas is. I'm taking 14.5 in a rivalry game. This line, wow, has shifted. I got USC at plus 5.5. It's now down to USC plus 3.5. I'm on USC money line. I'm also on USC spread. I think USC stuns Penn State this week. I think USC is a good team. I don't think they're great. I think they're a team who can win 8 or 9. But I think Penn State's the type of team who can fall. And although Penn State's 5-0, top 4 team, they're going on the road. You know, it's a long trip out to LA. This is a very passionate, traditional game. You know, it's between two powerhouse programs. It's not a game that we see every year, but when they do match up, it's a really good one. I went to the Rose Bowl back in 2017. It was Sam Darnold leading the way versus Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley. And USC ended up pulling that game out with a field goal win. And it was incredible to watch. The confetti came down. I was pulling for Penn State. I had a big bet on Penn State, but USC won that one. I just think USC Penn State is a 3-point, 2-point type of game anytime they play. A big matchup. And I'm not going to lay 5.5 points with Penn State. That's ridiculous. I'm going to take the points always. So USC and money line. I think I'm going to take Cal at plus 3. I haven't decided yet, but Cal is plus 3 on the road at Pitt, who's 5-0. I think the spread should be bigger. They're saying on a neutral site that this is a pick'em game. The home field advantage is giving Pitt the 3. I just don't think that this should be a pick'em game for a team who's 3-2 versus a team who's 5-0. I think that Pitt has just not played a very, very tough schedule. Cal has played at Florida State. They've played at Auburn. They played against Miami. Cal's battle tested is the way we'll put it. The Purdue-Illinois line has moved from like 18 to 21. I'm not touching that. That's an insane line. I mean, Illinois should win, but it's a lot of points to cover. Let's see here. Arizona BYU. Okay, I took Arizona plus 5. It's now moved to Arizona plus 3. I still like it. I would take Arizona plus 3. Any points you can give me in a Big 12 game, like I said, I'm taking them. This is an afternoon game on the road, but still. I think that this is another spot where BYU should be a heavier favorite, and because they're not, I'm taking the other team. I saw on Josh Pate's show, he's taking Ohio, so I jumped on Ohio minus 3 just because he liked it. I don't know anything about the game, but I like Josh's content, so I took it with him. Tennessee and Florida. I am on Florida plus 15.5. It's at 14.5 right now. I'll probably take a little bit more on Florida at 15.5. I think that's a lot of points. Again, it's a rivalry, 2 teams who hate each other. Tennessee is penetrable. They lost to Arkansas last week. 3rd-string quarterback beat them, a freshman. So I'm taking Florida with that many points. Oregon, Ohio State. I've been so conflicted with this game, man. So my logic is this. There was a game earlier in the season. There were two. Nebraska versus Illinois. Nebraska was an 8.5-point favorite. Like, favorite play of all time. Loved it. Said Nebraska was going to beat Illinois by 10 or 12 or whatever. It went the other way. Then you look at USC, Michigan. Same thing. Love SC. SC's going to kill Michigan. Want USC to win. It's like everything is striking. I need to bet USC. I'm a fan of them. I love the spread. I think they're the better team. Like, everything just lines up and makes sense. And then Nebraska loses outright and USC loses outright. So now I feel that exact same feeling with this Ohio State-Oregon game. Ohio State's way better. Oregon struggled against some other teams. Yes, it's a home game for Oregon, but I think Ohio State's just a better matchup than a lot of these other teams were, who have who Oregon's been in tighter games with. Sorry. So now Ohio State matches up really well. I think they're just going to beat the brakes off these guys. Okay, I've been so wrong on these other, hammer spots where I believed, I'm 100% right, this team's going to win and cover, that I'm going to do the opposite. I don't think Oregon's going to cover. I don't think Oregon's going to win. I don't think Oregon's as good as Ohio State is. So I'm taking Oregon. That's just my logic here. I'm taking Oregon because I love Ohio State too much. I want Ohio State to win because it would be good for Nebraska. If Ohio State beats Oregon, it's going to be way better for Nebraska than if they lose to them, right? So everything to me says Ohio State's winning. I need to bet on them. So I'm not going to. Give me Oregon. I got plus 3.5 though. It's now at 3. I'm going to wait for it to go to 3.5 before I would tell you to place it. But 3.5 is too many points. Too many points to give a home team at night. That's ridiculous. 3.5? Are you kidding me? Most games end in a field goal. Anyway, go Oregon. Well, go Ohio State, but for my money, go Oregon. LSU, Ole Miss. Okay, so what I told you about the Oregon game and the USC game, taking the points, I'm also taking the money lines. I'm going to do the same thing here with Ole Miss, or with LSU. LSU is a 3.5-point dog at home at night against Ole Miss. I'm taking the spread at 3.5. I'm taking the money line. I know for sure one of these three dogs is going to win outright, whether that's LSU, Oregon, or USC. I don't know which one, but one's a guarantee. I believe a second one is going to win outright. I think they will. I don't think all three will, but two will. So if I have money line and spread, 2 covers spread, 1 covers the money line, then I'm positive on these 3 games. So that's my logic here. Let's see. Okay, West Virginia, Iowa State. It's a night game at West Virginia, getting plus 3 at home. Big 12, any team can win. Give me the points. Taking West Virginia. Love it. Love, love, love it. Syracuse at NC State. Haven't played this yet. Thinking about taking NC State. Again, plus points at home at night, plus 3.5. A team who's clearly better than you are. NC State's been a mess, a train wreck. And Syracuse is actually looking very good, coming off of a top 25 victory over UNLV last week. They had an extra day off of rest. Spread doesn't make sense to me. I'm taking NC State. I haven't played it, but I probably will. Okay, this one is intriguing. Minnesota, UCLA. UCLA breaking out a new quarterback. I can't remember his name. What's that dude's name? Martin something. Whatever. He covered for me last week on the road at Penn State. He's kind of a dual threat guy, but he's mostly passer. I don't even think he runs it, but he can run. Minnesota is having to go on the road to a night environment after a very emotional win over USC, and I don't think Minnesota is all that good. I think they just had a really good matchup against SC, and they played extremely motivated. UCLA was a plus 5.5-point dog. Now they're plus 3.5. I've got to take UCLA. So, yeah, give me UCLA here. Kansas State is at Colorado. The spread is 3.5. I mean, I think Kansas State's a home run here. I mean, Colorado's getting a lot of respect because of the UCF win, but why would it not be Kansas State? They're way better. Oh, I forgot. Big 12, any team can win. You're giving me 3.5 points at home at night. I'm taking Colorado. No brainer. So there you go. There you have it. The Connor Hayden picks for the week. I will put all of my picks up in Discord. I will put all of my prize picks lineups in Discord. So if you want to ride, they are going to be there for you. Don't say I didn't tell you. Sign up for the Discord in the description box below. It's free. And there's 950 people from our Corn Craze community who are already there who you can talk to. And you can talk to me there as well. So, yeah. No one important says, I think we need to talk about Buschini. I feel like he has the potential to make a lot of game-changing plays in the next coming weeks. Yeah, I think he 100% does. The problem with talking about Buschini is people want to talk about the positives with the offense. And talking about Buccini's positives means the offense isn't performing up to standard, right? I'm hopeful for Buccini. I think he's kind of rid himself of the injury issues that plagued him over the past couple of years and kind of caused him to dip in terms of average punt yards and getting the ball inside the 5 or 10 yard line. But he's looking really good. I'm not sure what the fakes will look like going forward, but gonna be interesting. I know they're gonna have some more fakes to pull out because they're not kicking all these field goals. They're not, punting the ball if they're in situations where they're playing USC, Indiana, or USC, Ohio State, or Indiana, who are all teams who could really beat them down. Let's see. Lowrider says, I heard Sean Callahan say teams that travel 2 time zones are 1-8. Oh yeah. What's his name? Josh Pate had a whole segment about this. I'm sure Sean Callahan's talking about something similar. Josh talks about all the time zone stuff, and it's super interesting. So I think a lot of teams struggle with that time zone change because it is a long flight and it's not something they're used to. This is new in college football with all these conference shakeups. Tiger says, I'm so tired of bitching about the refs. We've dealt with this for 20 years as an excuse. Yeah, I've stopped. I don't bitch about the refs anymore. It's like, it just is what it is. And we've kind of dealt with it. You know what I mean? Daniel says, thank you for being a member, Daniel. He says, my coworker just told me about the Coliseum. There's certain exits you shouldn't take for your safety, apparently. On game days, it's not a big deal. You have campus security all over USC, and I don't think it's that big of a deal over there during game days. But yeah, when you're just going around USC, it's a dangerous neighborhood. And I think they've cleaned it up a little. Has it gotten worse or better? I don't know. I don't have friends who go to USC anymore because I'm an adult now. But when all my friends went there, it was pretty freaking dangerous. So I think it's gotten better. Huddle highlights. Thank you for being a member. He says, do you think Hutmaker has repressed? I feel like I almost never hear his name compared to last year. The problem is when a player has a breakout season, teams key on him going forward, like Jamari Butler. 5.5 sacks last season, only 1 so far this year. Teams know he's better than he was last year. He's kind of an underrated player that people didn't know how to defend. It's natural in football to see guys kind of take a step back. O'Shawn Mathis did the exact same thing. I think at TCU he had like an exceptional season, then he kind of took a step back the year after, and then at Nebraska he was kind of in the middle. So when teams know you're going to be an elite player, they double up on you. And this is a good point too. No one important says he doesn't feel like he's regressed. He feels like he's getting overshadowed by some other defensive stars. You have so many guys in that defense right now who are playing at such an elite level, especially Ty Robinson. So, and Rod says the same thing I did. Schemed against a bit. Agreed, Rod. Matthew says Nebraska is the king of having offensive line players drafted to a different position. Who was the last one? Obviously Cam Jurgens was the last offensive lineman I can remember that Nebraska had drafted, and he is playing center. But you'd have to give me a breakdown on that, Matthew. I haven't been following. Logic's Finest, thanks for being here. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate the support. Love that you're using the Corn Crazed emoji. Hugh says, I never get notified when you're live. I'm so late. Hugh, it's all good. Thank you for being a member. I'm glad you're able to catch the replay. Guys, I'm really bad at notifying you when I'm going live. I need to do a better job of it. Typically, I go live on either Thursday night or Friday night or both. It's every Thursday or Friday night unless I give you a heads up. So just so we're all on the same page, 6 p.m. What is it? 6 p.m. Central, because it's 4 p.m. my time. 6 p.m. Central, Thursdays and Friday nights. And if there isn't going to be a show, I will let you know in advance. I do my best, guys. I do my best. Speaking of merch, Lowrider, thank you for being a member. He says maybe collab with Carricker to get some stuff out. I really enjoy doing merch, but it's a lot of work, and the channel doesn't have enough of a following for me to monetize the merch. So what happens is I break even on it, and because I have to fulfill it myself, I can't make as much content as I want to make. So it's really fun for the community, but it takes way too much time for me to do, and I don't make any money at it, So merch is really tough. I have made money in the past, but to do it the way I want to do it, it's tough. And Nebraska also has to have winning seasons, because if Nebraska isn't winning, then I can't sell enough of it. There was a lot of excitement when I did my first merch drop, even my second merch drop, and so that helped support it so I could sell all of it. But I haven't even sold all the merch for my first merch drop, or my second merch drop, because there were, I mean, I guess 4 weeks where my views just kind of tanked at the end of the season. And it's just hard when your views are reliant on Nebraska being successful. It's hard to invest that much money and time into merch, you know? The Corn Craze shirt with the Nebraska postcard on it is still my favorite shirt in my wardrobe. That's the one I'm wearing right now, Daniel's talking about. It's a great shirt. It's very cool. I got them in white and black. I've got one in my closets of each. Well, one on my body, one in my closet of the white. But I'm appreciative of you guys buying those back when I first dropped them. I love that merch collab, or that merch drop. Carl says Ed Foley needs to be fired immediately. Our special teams is a complete dumpster fire. Firing him right now wouldn't make any sense, because you just have to fill him with somebody else, right? But I don't know what Rhule's going to do at the end of the season. It's really tough. How do you keep a guy who's had a unit that's just underperformed the entire time? There's an argument, obviously, that, well, we didn't have the right personnel and da-da-da. It's like, okay, well, you had 2 seasons to figure it out, and you still didn't figure it out. It just feels like in modern college football with NIL and with the transfer portal, you should be able to go and get replacements, They should have had more foresight. I know last year they were really blessed with Marco Ortiz being a strong long snapper, but after he left, I wish they would have just recognized we need to go and get someone else to fill that role. I don't know. It does feel like Ed Foley's time is going to come to an end, because I don't know how you can make the field goal situation better at this point. It just, yeah, it doesn't seem realistic. You guys are talking about Frost and his ego. I don't know anything about this. Seemed to be under control at Oregon and UCF, but once he got back here, he reintegrated himself with a bunch of codependent drunks. There's certain things I can't say, and it's not that I don't want to tell you. It's just that when people tell me stuff, I can't have it get out there, because it's a bad look. Like, what if I meet Frost? Anyway, I can't tell you the whole story, but there's an NFL player who I was talking to the other day, and he was telling me about his time at Oregon and his relationship with Scott Frost. And it was all positive. Like, he didn't say anything bad about Frost. But he did tell me some stuff about, bar things and party things. And there was a story that was specific that did make me think, maybe Frost was a bit of a partier. And the womanizer kind of comments, maybe they were true to some extent. Yeah, I don't want to go deeper than that. But yeah, I don't know about the Frost situation. I think a lot of coaches in college football, because I've talked to multiple college and NFL players about this type of stuff. Now that I have this platform, people do want to talk to me. So when I'm at events or when I'm with people, they'll be like, "Oh, you do college football, YouTube, da da da." So we talk about a lot of stuff, So they share stories about coaches and whatever, players. I hear a lot of crazy things. But anyway, I've heard stuff about coaches being womanizers and all the stuff they've got going on. And it's not like Frost was the only guy doing it. There are tons of coaches who have that same behavioral pattern. So I don't know how much those things affected you as a coach. And I'm not even sure how much of that Scott Frost was doing when he was at Nebraska. Like this story I just, mentioned from the Oregon guy, that happened when Frost was in his 30s, When he was at Nebraska, he was in his 40s. So a lot of it's just rumors, and it's hard for me to know what was true and what wasn't, and then what actually affected the locker room or what affected the team. I think the way I view it, and I don't like to judge other people, I have my own issues. We all have our own issues. So who am I to judge someone, right? That's always my first instinct. But I think Scott Frost's issues at Nebraska, outside of any of the extracurricular nonsense, were that he didn't have the experience of how to build a winning program. And he was a really good X and O guy, and that's why he had success at UCF. He had elite players because he was in Orlando, Florida, and he could recruit to a school who had prior success. he was able to take those players and scheme against coaches who were significantly worse coaches than he was. He was a decorated, national championship level offensive coordinator who went into the American Conference against guys that, I don't even know what schools he was playing, Navy, and I don't even know who else, FAU, whatever. All schools who had good coaches at one point. I don't know who he played against specifically, but you understand what the point I'm trying to make. He was elite as a play caller, and that kind of saved him as a head coach. You come to Nebraska, you have to build a program from the ground up, and he just didn't know how to do it. Does him being I don't know that he was, but if he was a big drinker, a womanizer, a partier, was that the reason he wasn't a good coach? I don't really tie those two things together, because there are a lot of coaches who do have all of those same issues that I'm mentioning now who are successful. So, okay, I remember Cliff Kingsbury was at Doheny Room. So there's like a bar in LA called Doheny Room. And my friend was DJing one night. This is like the spot to go. Like all the best girls. Like it's a fireplace. Like you can't get in. It's like super hard to get into. It's like Thursday night or something. I don't even know what night it was. Maybe Thursday. Whatever. My friend's DJing. He's like a big DJ. And he's like dapping this guy up. And I'm like, dude, that looks so much like Cliff Kingsbury. I'm like, that's crazy. That looks like him. And the dude's drinking and shit. So I walk over to my friend at the bar or at the DJ booth. I'm like, dude, you know who he looks like? He looks like this football coach named Cliff Kingsbury. He's like, yeah, it's because it is Cliff Kingsbury. I was like, what? So I get him to introduce me to Cliff Kingsbury. Anyway, the point is, I'm not saying Cliff's like a drunk or anything like that, but, same kind of vibe. Like the dude's just living his life. He obviously parties. He's got girls around. I think Cliff's single. If you looked at his house in Scottsdale, it was a bachelor pad to a T. I don't think Scott Frost's extracurriculars were the reason, if he had any, were the reason that he wasn't a good coach at Nebraska. I just don't believe that to be true based on all of these stories I hear about other people. And if I look at other people who are successful in life, I have so many friends who are multi-millionaires, 25 plus millionaires, like rich. These guys have all kinds of extracurricular stuff going on. That doesn't hold them back from being high-performing individuals in the workplace, right? So Frost's issues were other aspects that didn't tie to alcohol or women. It tied to, I haven't been trained the right way on how to be a leader of a football program. I don't know how to build a winning culture. I don't know how to do anything outside of X's and O's. And I'm not meant for the role of rebuilding a torn down and ruined football program. These are all just thoughts that are popping into my head now because this one comment that popped up. I know it was a long tangent, but yeah, I'm glad I could give you guys what my thoughts are on that, because the Frost drinking stories, there's so many ways to take that. No one important says, I've been to Death Valley once before and it's electric. I think it'll be too much for Ole Miss. I think LSU wins by at least 7. I don't think that Ole Miss has had a bye week yet. Let me check really quick. Okay, so Ole Miss has not had a bye. They just played against South Carolina. Was that on the road? I feel like the South Carolina game was on the road. Okay, they just went to South Carolina. Now they've got to go to LSU. It's just a bad spot in my opinion. And that's awesome you've been to Death Valley. I haven't been to Death Valley yet. I wanted to go there. It's just, it's got to be the right game. Carl says, Connor, I'd love to know your overall record on D1 football picks. I can't tell you my overall record because I haven't tracked it. I can tell you on a certain site that I am positive on D1 football picks because I can see my record. So I think I'm probably like 60%, 55%, somewhere in that range. But I am positive I'm a net winner. Sun Ho, thank you for being a member. He says, hope you're having a great stream. And Night Connor, thanks for the content. Appreciate you watching. I'm having a great stream. It's a good time. We're already an hour and 30 minutes in, and I'm still going strong. So I'm glad you guys are all here. Adam, what do you think about how Isaac Gifford is playing? Isaac's been fine. Let's just check his stat line, because I had a high expectation stat wise for him. He's been a leading tackler at Nebraska for a minute. Nebraska 2023 stats. He had a couple missed tackles last week that people got on him about, but I don't know. I mean, it's hard to be perfect, right? When he doesn't perform at his best, someone else comes through to do a good job. So Gifford is second on the team in tackles behind John Bullock right now. John Bullock, in my opinion, is the best player on defense. John Bullock is outstanding. I mean, look at this from John Bullock. John Bullock has 33 tackles, 5 for a loss, 2 sacks, an interception, 3 passes defended, and a forced fumble. And the forced fumble wasn't like some nonsense forced fumble that was against Northern Iowa that didn't matter. Same with the interception. The interception was a clutch moment. Those were plays that were crucial to winning the game. The interception was against Purdue when Nebraska had a lead, but weren't locked in as winners yet. The forced fumble was against Illinois, which was, I think, in plus territory to set Nebraska up in position to score. So, yeah, John Bullock's been outstanding. Gifford always has a good stat line, but yeah, he's a good player for Nebraska. I don't know if I would say he's exceeded expectations for this season. I think he's just been who I thought and hoped he would be, right? My take on Isaac Gifford. Joey says, blast from the past, considered to be one of the top special teams coordinators, John Papuchis. Was he that good? I don't even remember if his special teams were that good. That's a tough one. What year would it have been? 2017? Hold on. Let's see what I can find. All right. What was his last year? So from 2020 to 2019? No, 2012? Sorry, I'll include you in on this. The Papuchis deal. So they had one of the top pass defenses in 2012. Yeah, he was a secondary coach, right? No, he's defensive line and special teams coordinator. Okay. Special teams coordinator in 2011. Ranked high on defense, but where's the special teams? Oh, here we go. 2010. One of the 4 finalists for Special Teams Coordinator of the Year. That year, Alex Henry was first team All-American. So he was there from 2010 to like 2017, like I said. No, 2000. What year was Poplini out? 2015. 15, not 17, sorry. But he was there even earlier, so it would have been like 2009, yeah. 2008, wow. The problem is, these coaches who were good a while back, you don't know if they're going to be good today, you know? I don't know where John Papuchis has been or what he's been up to, but I can probably check. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I can check. Okay. John Papuchis is at Florida State. He's special teams and defensive ends coach. After Nebraska, he went to North Carolina. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who would be a good fit for special teams coach. A lot of it has to do with who these coaches know. You know what I mean? So I'm guessing that Papuchis and Matt Rule don't know each other. Oh, Joey says he only did 1 year of special teams with Nebraska. No, 3 years of special teams with Nebraska. Carl says, many of us Husker fans feel that Satterfield's a huge liability. If Rule miraculously fired Satterfield and made you ROC, what plays would you run? I've never been an offensive coordinator, so I would be a terrible OC. I don't know how to call an offense because I have zero experience doing it. I can tell you when I play online on the EA Sports college football game, I'm pretty good when you put the plays in front of me and just let me pick which ones to do. I'm good at reading defenses and playing against the safeties, depending on what coverage they're in, right? Throwing it over the top when they're out of position. But as a coordinator with the pressure on, I don't think I'd be all that good. Again, I think a lot of people are on Satterfield's case. I don't know that he's a bad OC. I think there have been bad play calls. I also think there's been good play calls. People don't give credit where it's due. There have been moments in the game where I'm like, wow, that was an amazing play, and Satterfield schemed that perfectly. I.e., Ja'Cory Barney against Purdue when they did a little sweep at the perfect time and he ran for like 35 yards. And then the one against Rutgers, the touchdown with Janier and Bonner, where they had the trap play underneath. And I think it was supposed to be like a handoff outside, and then Raiola handed it before he went outside. And so it was a little underneath deal. Totally caught the defense off guard. I thought that was a great play call. So I don't know. Who knows? It's above my pay grade. Don't get me started. Thank you for being a member for 2 years. He said, how do we maintain the defense the way it is after White leaves at the end of the year? Well, I think they're preparing for it, right? They've got all these coaches who are trained and dialed in to understand what the expectation and the standard is. They went and got an NFL coordinator defensive backs coach who's been a Big Ten coordinator in John Butler. And I'm assuming that if John Butler is who we think he is with all of his experience and that strong resume, he's going to be able to carry on this tradition of 2-year success that Tony White installed. So when you have a bunch of good players and you have this philosophy that's worked so far, at least in terms of player development, I think they're going to be just fine. I don't know that the defense will look exactly the same, but I'm confident that John Butler or whoever it is that takes over the defense after Tony White is gone will make sure it's, in good shape. So, guys, with all that, I got to get out of here. I got to go pack. I got to get to bed early-ish tonight, and I got a long weekend ahead. So I hope you enjoy the games. Make sure you're in the Discord to see all my spread picks against the spread picks and obviously my prize picks. And I'll see you on Wednesday with my Indiana game preview. So until next time, thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Go Big Red.